All right, good morning, guys. Welcome. How we doing? Welcome back, everyone. All right. So today, a little bit of a different live stream today. 8:30, we are going to move over to TradeZilla TV. Got invited to that. We'll basically just be doing our normal stream there. So you guys can head over with me there. The link is in the top of the description, in the description and the top of the chat. So just a quick seamless transition over to that today from 8:30 to 9 o'clock. So yeah, just a one-day thing. It's not going to be something we do consistently, but got invited to it, and I figured why not? Should be fun. It's a Friday. Let's have a little bit of fun. So we'll be over there starting 8:30, and that means that we got to jump right into it today. We're going to start with the equities today, actually. So starting with the equities from 8 to 8:30, and then over on TradeZilla TV, we'll do our analysis on the NQ, the S&P 500, and all the remaining, our normal SMH, our IWM, and all the normal system that we typically do. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. If you guys could, please press that like button, subscribe to the channel, and here we go. So yesterday, very nice day, very nice downside, some great opportunities, the break and retests of PDL, it's free. You just got to go to the link up above. Just go to that link that I posted above, and you should be able to jump right in. Totally free. Just being hosted there. Let me make sure I'll post the link one more time for you. So right here, right there. Yesterday, great opportunities, very much a nice day. Tesla downside was beautiful, our 396 spot. Palantir, sick. Hood, awesome. You know what was the best? Coinbase, man. Coinbase, that break and retest to PDL. What a perfect setup that was yesterday. So let's see if there's any more today. It's Friday. It's about being safe into the end of the week. That's always the key, right? Maybe stay away from the zeros if you're a little bit emotional. So let's go ahead and start with the equities today, and then at 8:30 we will move over to TradeZilla, and we will then go over our Nasdaq and S&P. So first one that I would be watching today, guys, is Tesla, and I know we're jumping right in. So the people that are late, well, unfortunately, we don't got time for people that are late, right? If you guys could, please smash that like button today. Let's get this stream to 1,000 likes, even though it's a short one. I'd appreciate that. So today on Tesla, very interested in the pop back into the 414.50. I think this is a fantastic look. I still think you want to be looking for that rejection. For now, we'll see what the price action looks like, but these are major lows, right? Major low, major low, major low. This is really going to be the point that you want to trade Tesla off of here in the next few days, whether it's today, whether it's next week. If we get a pop back into this level, either looking for a fade off this level, for a beautiful retest rejection, or looking for the reclaim ripper back above the 2021 highs, either one of those would be fantastic looks on Tesla. So I am definitely intrigued by that. That is a massive triple bottom low. That will be a massive inflection point moving forward. So I would absolutely just have your eyes peeled and have your, sort of game plan set for when Tesla comes back here. I'd say there is a very high likelihood that Tesla retraces to this level, but when does that happen? I'm unsure. If it's today, maybe there's a long up into that level. And if you want to look for the long into that 414.50, the way I would look for this today is I would look for a hold of this Wednesday low right here. If Tesla can hold above this pivot right here at Wednesday's lows, if it can maintain that today on a nice sort of a reclaim long, that could be a trade up towards the 414.50, right? So that could be an interesting trade towards that. That would be your profit target, which could then become a rejection play or an even more fueled upside move over that level. So either way, this is a very nice watch today. I'm definitely keeping that on the docket and sort of on my watch throughout today. Let's go to Nvidia. Nvidia, a nice bounce off the daily 200 SMA. That's, of course, a major spot for Nvidia. If we go out to the daily chart, take a look at that 200 SMA. We have not touched that 200 SMA really since, I guess, reclaimed it back in May of last year and then broke below it in February of last year. So a very important spot here for Nvidia, guys. And not only is it the 200 SMA, it lines up pretty damn perfect with all of these lows from the past, right? Major lows, and here we are again. So we can see Nvidia from this point in the past, 170 has made nice moves to the upside, and now we have it at the 200 SMA. Interesting spot. Definitely an interesting spot for a stock that definitely has been a little bit beaten down, I guess you could say, or unloved is the word I'd say. So nice hold there at the daily 200, nice 170 spot, but we definitely need to see reclaims, right, guys? Here's the number one thing I want you to think about and remember as you approach the markets here in the next few weeks, because this is a very important thing to pay attention to. The market has been dropping, right? What is the most important thing that has to happen if you want to see recoveries on this market? It's reclaims, okay? The reclaim trade, the reclaim look is number one look for any situation where you're looking for a downside market to turn into maybe a bullish market, right? That flip, that inflection point. That flip occurs when you reclaim levels. And it doesn't happen until that happens, right? So if Nvidia does not get back above these highs here, then it is not a long opportunity, right? And it might possibly still just be a short opportunity, failing these highs still, right? So this is not a long off this level for me yet, right? This does not become an instant long off the 200 SMA. Where does this get more interesting to be a long? Well, if it maybe reclaims 178, or maybe even better if it reclaims 184 and the daily SMAs here, right? Then it becomes a long. So always look for the reclaim. Always be careful to be longing something before the reclaim, right? For example, Tesla, for me, a long would be much more interesting above 414.50 on the reclaim of these lows, all right? AMD, what a beautiful read yesterday. The 203 level smacked beautifully. Nice downside, and AMD moved right into a major, major spot. Take a look at where AMD moved into yesterday. A massive spot. The low of yesterday in the overnight session on AMD was these exact double top highs. I mean, perfection double top highs. Look at that double top right there on AMD. And look at where it held. It is exactly at that level. Look at this right there. So that is a big spot for AMD. I'm interested to see what it does today. It is still below yesterday's highs and that 203 level, so it is really not an interesting long for me here. I would definitely want to see it reclaim this 206, 203 area before looking for a long opportunity. But if it does start to reclaim these levels here, right, if we can flip back over this, then yeah, I mean, that's interesting, back to the upside. But for now, it's still failing those levels, and that means I'm not interested in that. I would look to just see what happens at this 194.28 spot. 194.28 is this daily low. So look at this daily low right here. On the daily chart, look at this double bottom low on the daily right here. That's 194.28. So if we do reclaim that level, which we are reclaiming and technically holding above right now, if that level maintains today, that could be a sign that maybe AMD is looking to build back higher and create higher lows and maybe push towards that 203, 206. Okay, so that's sort of an interesting spot for me today on AMD. The next semiconductor that I would be watching today is Broadcom. Broadcom has been flexing its muscles a little bit. Broadcom has not been falling as much as other semiconductors. And Broadcom is also holding right at the gap fill level. So here's Broadcom, right, on the daily chart. Here's the gap fill right here, 308.78. That's your gap fill spot. That is also what? That's also the daily 200 SMA. So you have Nvidia and Broadcom both massive behemoth semiconductor stocks sitting at their daily 200s, it gets interesting, right? The plot thickens a little bit. That's an interesting spot. And you can see that Broadcom over the last few days, regardless of the market downside, is actually flat, right? It is not moving lower with the market. It tried, it moved lower Wednesday, got quickly bid back up. It moved lower yesterday, but barely even broke below that daily 200, and technically it trapped below it. So this is still a very interesting hold on Broadcom, and I would be curious to see if outperformance is there. We are reclaiming this 320.50 spot, which is a big spot. If we can maintain that today, I don't mind Broadcom into that daily 20. I don't mind Broadcom back into the 340 spot. So Broadcom, definitely something to keep a watch on if the market can bounce and if this can stick with the outperformance that you've seen. MU, it's got to be a watch today. There's just no doubt about it. MU, SNDK, WDC have to be watches today. Do they find the strength once again? MU has done a pretty decent job maintaining even through the market downside. Really nice sort of consolidation here. And look what we're back above today. We're right back above yesterday's highs. We're back above the Friday low here. And so if MU can find a little bit of support here, I think that's a nice reclaim above yesterday high, above these Friday lows. And this could really facilitate a move, I'd say, back into that Tuesday low at 407.53. And above that, possibly back even into that 428. So those are two very interesting spots that I would be paying attention to off on MU. Also, the other thing to note on MU, we are back above the daily 20. And if you sort of zoom out on the on the daily chart, back above the daily 20, that's good. A pullback to the daily 20, that's also very good. We've been dying and needing that pullback for a very long time, right? We can't really extend over the daily 20 for that long. This is a great pullback back to that daily 20. Could absolutely be an opportunity on a stock that's been very strong and maybe sort of reignites. So definitely keeping eyes on MU on that pullback. WDC. Look at the outperformance on this one yesterday, right? There's a lot of outperformance to be spotting. And one of the things I wanted to point out to you guys, which we'll talk about on the TradeZella TV at 8:30, is the SMH. This is a massively important thing to pay attention to. The SMH has really pulled back to, quite honestly, the best pullback long spot on this chart. There's really no better spot for the SMH to be a pullback long. This is it. I mean, this is sort of where it either holds or the whole idea breaks down. The whole retracement pullback long thesis is here, right? This is it. It's 373, 375. It's the previous double top highs. So if you find the SMH to hold that spot at these double top highs, and it does return back to dominance, that is a fantastic spot for the SMH. Daily 50, previous double top highs. That's a perfect example of a break and retest long. If we draw a fib from this low to this high, let's go ahead and put on our OHLC. If you draw a fib from this low to this high, this looks to be just around a 50% retracement. It is. It's roughly right between the 50 and 61.8. So this is an exact 50% retracement from this move that started back in December, back into the daily 50, and back into these double top highs. That is a very interesting spot. And not only that, all right, to add more context here, look what the SMH has done as the market has dropped aggressively. It has not even failed yesterday. It didn't even fail the Wednesday low, right? The Nasdaq futures made a big move under previous day lows. The SMH didn't even get stressed under that low. I mean, it wasn't even a question. It just said, yeah, I'm holding it, all right? So there's absolutely outperformance on the semiconductors here, and there is definitely interest to watch some of these today to see if they do find the juice once again. Now, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I think you have to be tuned in to what that's doing. That's super important. SNDK, another one that, definitely an aggressive name. Can it get above 614 today? This is definitely a strong hold in that 533, 555. So let's keep an eye on the Nvidias, the AMDs, the Broadcoms, the MUs, right? Let's keep an eye on that SMH. Let's be paying attention to the outperformance that we have seen. This could become an opportunity in the short term, okay? All right. So with that said, let's jump over to some large cap tech. Another one that has been extremely strong regardless of market downside is Apple. I mean, Apple has basically not gone anywhere. If anything, it's gone higher through this. So Apple, definitely something to be watching. You are sitting at a major rejection point, which is somewhat concerning for Apple. So, just be careful up here. You can see major supply, major rejections, and here we are again at that same point. So it's a little bit of a tough spot to want to be long into, but the outperformance should definitely keep you interested. You have these highs here. You have these highs here. You have this 271.50 spot that I would not mind to see maybe a pullback long into. That could be a nice retracement spot. You can see right here, that is this spot right here. So Apple outperformance, I would say something to be paying attention to as well. Another one that has been very strong regardless of market downside is Google. Google reported earnings. They went down. It came back up yesterday. It's holding definitely pretty well. You can see that Google maintaining 314, right? Nice lows, nice lows. Look at those lows. A little bit of a sketchy area. I wouldn't say there's a really clean spot here. I would say for now, you just want to see what happens at the daily 20. For now, it is rejecting that daily 20. I would definitely need to see it above it. I would actually go ahead and put my alert right there today. If Google can reclaim the daily 20 after holding this low on earnings and yesterday, I would say interesting for the outperformance move again. Meta, where did Meta pull back to, right? These are great pullbacks, guys. Don't let pullbacks on the market make you panic, okay? And I'm not saying that means you just start buying longs with every last dollar you have. That's not what this means. But pullbacks are where opportunities lie, and you need to be locked in when pullbacks occur. So, Meta, look where it has come back down to. It has come back down to the 650 level, back to these lows, back to that sort of earnings pop off the daily 20, and we are right back into that exact spot, daily 20 on Meta, daily 20, daily 50. Nice, consistent downtrend. That is something we can definitely watch, right? Very nice, consistent downtrending move since the earnings call, and we're right back into that key demand level. So, does Meta start to find some support here? Does Meta start to defend this spot? Not something you go out and just take, your mortgage out for your house and start longing, but definitely something you sort of pay attention to. Daily 20, daily 50, nice hold. You definitely still need to get above this daily 200, right? What are we looking for? We're looking for reclaims. Reclaim the daily 200. Hold back above it. Create this higher low situation. And then maybe there is interest here for that upside continuation move once again, all right? So nice spot there. I would watch the daily 20, daily 50 on Meta very closely moving forward. Microsoft, another one. Take a look at this on Microsoft. Microsoft yesterday filled the gap, dropped below the gap, and we are now back above the gap. Gap fill was 396. Look where we're holding above today. Very nice. I would be watching what Microsoft does at the gap fill level. However, what do we need to see, right? Reclaims. Here's your reclaim level, 408.56. And also, may I add, this was one of the best break and retest rejections yesterday. Yesterday, we were watching for the retest rejection of 408.56 at the lows from Tuesday, Wednesday. Take a look at where Microsoft rejected yesterday. Bam. Right there. All day, straight down. Beautiful opportunity on a break and retest of these lows. These are the lows. There's your rejection. Great downside. So today, and moving forward, I would definitely be watching for the reclaim long or another pop and fade, right? Right at that level. Two weekly charts that I want you to pay attention to moving forward, okay? And I know a lot of you guys are, begging and pleading for the opportunity to buy Palantir. When do I buy Palantir again, right? Well, here's something to watch, right? Here's how you make your decision. This weekly high right here, okay? See this weekly high right here? This is a retest of that weekly high at 125.40. So look at this on Palantir. Look what Palantir held yesterday. 125.40. Exact weekly high. Look at that. So that sure as hell is an interesting spot, right? You have a weekly chart retest. Looking at this chart, major weekly high, retesting that level, holding that level this morning, right? Look at that. So now let's see if that starts to build. Can we get back above 140.37? Something to watch out for. Look at Hood, All right. Remember Hood? Weekly chart, weekly target. Remember this? 67. Look where Hood pulled back to yesterday. Pretty damn close. Not quite, but pretty damn close. Look at Hood. 68, $1.60 off. So another one that says, all right, we moved back into the weekly high. We held it. Can we start to see some reclaims? Over 77.80, which again, I'll add, was our short-term watch for the downside, and that was incredible yesterday. That was nothing short of incredible. We were looking for Hood downside below this low, and look at the rejections that came in. Little pop and fade above it, little bull trap above it, that led to just melting downside. But now, today, we're going to look to see, is it a rejection again, or is it a reclaim long? All right, definitely an interesting spot. Hood is absolutely one of my top watches here. And I think I would trade Hood with shares, by the way. I think this would be a share purchase for me, something I'd watch with the share side. The last one we're going to talk about in terms of equities before we move over into the TradeZilla TV and go over our NASDAQ futures, and then also just go over and sort of wrap up our live stream, is Coinbase. Man, Coinbase yesterday, I don't know if this could have been a sexier thing to happen. We came into yesterday's live stream and said, you know what? We've been sort of spotting that Coinbase has turned every low into highs, right? Lows into highs, lows into highs, lows into highs, lows. And we came into yesterday and we said, well, if that continues, then maybe there's a trade for Coinbase lows to turn into highs once again, right? If you came yesterday, I hope to God that you were paying attention to this. Unfortunately, I didn't catch it, but I hope that someone out there, and I did get a message from someone that said they caught 100% return on this trade. So that makes it worth it to me, just there. I mean, someone to make 100% on an idea that comes from this free pre-market live stream, that's pretty cool. So yesterday, we sort of made that analysis, lows into highs, lows into highs, lows into highs. This is how easy trading can be. I don't like to say easy, but in terms of technical analysis, it's not like we're creating brain surgery here. I mean, lows into highs, lows into highs, lows into highs, lows, which was 164.42. And take a look at where the high of the day was yesterday on Coinbase. Right there. An absolutely incredible pop and fade right at the previous day low. Unbelievable. What an opportunity. All day downside. Awesome. Now, before we jump over, the last thing I want to say about Coinbase is take a look at where it moved into. Coinbase weekly lows right here. See this? See this? That's 142.58. Look at where Coinbase held to overnight. 142.58. Very, very interesting. Okay? All right, guys. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move over to TradeZilla TV for the futures. Make sure to go ahead and go to that YouTube that I'm spamming in the chat. I'm going to end this live stream. I'm going to go head over there. If you guys could, please press that like button before you head out. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. And I will see you guys over on that live stream.